Hey there, it's Lokazi. Thanks for joining me for another game. This is a Grandmaster game between xiExO and VileSpanshwa. Grandmaster players, I should say. It wasn't played on the ladder, as this is MLG Tal'Darim Altar. I'm not sure what the difference between MLG Tal'Darim Altar and regular Tal'Darim Altar is, but I'll try and figure it out as I cast, which is always fun. xiExO spawning here in the northwest position as the red Protoss, and VileSpanshwa, a man who needs no introduction. He's so famous he has an entire strategy named after him that he came up with, which is of course the low gas, fast droning strategy that's called the Spanshwa build for Zerg players. Here in the bottom left hand corner on Tal'Darim Altar. Now, as far as I can see for MLG Tal'Darim Altar, it looks very similar to the regular map pool, the ladder one. It has more mineral fields compared to the GSL one. And yeah. And I don't really see a difference. A little bit of friendly banter between the players there. I believe this was for some type of, maybe a tournament or something like that, because it wasn't played on the ladder and it's on an MLG map. So maybe they're just messing around. I don't know, but it'll be fun to cast anyway. And the very interesting thing about this, wow, the language. I'm going to have to put a mature one on this one. But the language is interesting. But, you know, nothing I can do about it. It's there. VileSpanshwa is not true to his name and is picking up an extractor. Let's see if he pulls the drones off it fairly quickly. He is dropping his spawning pool. He is going to be ready for any type of denial antics by xiExO, because he did see this forge. He knows that he needs to pick up Zerglings to deny any type of, you know, pylon, cannons, expansion, blocking by xiExO. xiExO sending out 2 probes to try and chase off this drone in an interesting reversal of race annoyances. The Zerg is actually annoying the Protoss so he can't expand. Very well done out of Spanshwa there. And xiExO with the gasless build as Protoss, so who knows what the world is coming to in this game. We have Spanshwa getting gas and a Protoss not. And it's crazy. And it looks like Spanshwa blocked himself a little bit there in supply. He does have an overlord coming up. And xiExO in the meantime, he's starting his cannon expansion. He's dropping the first cannon there. And he's going to wall this up so it's safe to Zergling aggression. He's probably going to drop maybe his gateway and then a cyber core right there. And interestingly enough, there's the gateway, blocking off that cannon as much as possible from being able to be attacked, which makes it live pretty much forever for Zerglings. So looks like the gap in the wall is going to be right here, I think. Yeah, I think it's going to be right there. Anyway, interestingly enough, I actually saw xiExO lose a very interesting game on this very map versus one of Spanshwa's teammates, a fellow Zerg named Vilehawk, at a tournament down here in Austin a few weeks ago. Actually, this replay is a few weeks old, so it may have been around the same time, maybe a few days off. But it was really interesting to see. I think it was about 2 weeks apart, actually, now that I think about it. This one was like May 8th, and that tournament was like April 24th. So, but in that game, xiExO did this expansion as well, and high aggression out of the Zerg player kind of crippled the wall a little bit, and then the Zerg player went straight into Hydras, got overlord speed, made a creep highway, and moved spine crawlers up and started poking the wall, and then just had Hydras, and it was really interesting to watch. So I wonder if that's something that's kind of passed around the Vile team, that is a very legitimate strategy versus Protoss on this map with that fast expansion to go those Hydras, because you know they're not going to have Colossus that fast. You definitely have a timing window there that you can open up with. And Hydras, of course, just are amazing versus any of the gateway units for Protoss, which, you know, really works out considering they're terrible versus Colossus, so it's balanced. And xiExO looks like he's actually fully walled in here, which means he's just relying on his warp gate mechanics to get over the wall. And a Colossus can climb up and down this cliff, so really, there's really no reason not to wall here if you're going for this expansion, because you don't plan on aggressing, being the aggressor, I should say, with this build very early. It looks like both players are content to just sit back and macro up as much as possible. Looks like they have like a no rush 10 minutes LOL type of agreement here. That might be what this custom game was called that they joined. No rush 10 minutes. We'll see. Sentry is being picked up here by xiExO to help with that defensive position. He has 2 gas up, a Twilight Council, so he's going for Blink Stalker probably, or just, you know, the regular gateway mix. But I do know xiExO likes Blink Stalker on this map. I've seen him do it like 3 times on this map. So, who knows? Smoke again, saying, dude. Imagine this goes to 7 games. Oh, it looks like it's like a best of series, and I'm only casting 1 of them. So, who knows? Sounds like it might be the first game though, which is always good. I'll try and get more of the games from xiExO, and see if I can't cast those. Hydra, like I was talking about, man, I'm so good. It might be a strategy. It's passed around on the Vile team actually. Hydra going down for Spanshwa. So he is going to be the aggressor here, and +1 damage going down for xiExO. Production-wise, we have Zergling speed, +1 attack, and +1 range going down for Spanshwa. And we have up to, it's about to be 5 gateways? 6 gateways. 6 gateway Blink Stalker out of xiExO. And here's that Overlord speed I was talking about. It is a strategy they use a lot on this. I think they might know that xiExO likes the Blink Stalkers on this map. And xiExO is doing what he needs to do here actually, which is driving back the Overlords to prevent the creep highway, so the Hydras take longer getting here. But the creep highway is already started up, and Zerglings really shut down Stalkers amazingly well. xiExO does have his Robo finished, so he can drop, you know, oh, getting 2 observers though. He can drop a Robo Bay and start on that. Spanshwa in the meantime is working on that Cybernetics core, which is the danger of building your Cybernetics core as part of your wall here. And it gets picked off, so for a few seconds here, looks like a round of warp-ins are going to be denied from xiExO because he has no Cybernetics core. He'll have to warp in Zeals if he wants to warp in anything, which actually wouldn't be too bad. Yeah, there we go, some Zeals warping in. In the meantime, this creep highway is fairly set up. There's a kind of a big gap there actually. But you want all these Overlords up here because you want a lot of movement for a fast retreat for your Hydras. Because if you lose a few Overlords, yeah, it's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. In the meantime, this action is just really intense actually. xiExO losing quite a few Blink Stalkers, but he's pretty much cleaned up this entire push out of Spanshwa. Really picking off that one Overlord actually supply capped Spanshwa at the beginning of this push, which really limited it on its power. So xiExO blunted that really well actually, drove that back. Few Hydras kind of chilling in the middle of the map, looking cool. We got a Spire going down. Forge being redropped. I think he got +1 out actually. I think it finished just in time. Yeah, it did. Right before it got picked off, which is great for him. And the supplies are even, which is not the best position for a Zerg player, though he does have his supply in the strongest 2 supply unit a Zerg has possible, which is the Hydralisk. So if you're going to have even supply with the Protoss, you want it in Hydralisk with no Colossus out. That's pretty much the best situation you could possibly be in. These Hydras are at +2 though, which means they do 14 damage a shot. Which is just so much damage, it's ridiculous. Did you see how fast they ate through those Stalkers? That's crazy. Overlord providing sight, as well as some creep here for these Hydralisks. These Hydralisks beating a retreat here. They cannot face the forces that round of warp-ins. Man, it's almost a 1 volley shot to kill a Zeal. That's just so much damage. And VileSpanshwa very nicely focusing down that Guardian shield providing sentry. And there's just non-stop aggression in this game. It's ridiculous. Then again, this type of Hydra play really calls for that high aggression to keep them from being able to tech to Colossus. But one Colossus is making its way onto the field here in about, I moused over it to cheat, 40 seconds, in-game seconds. And the Thermal Lance is being upgraded. xiExO doing a great job picking off as many of these Overlords as possible. And that's the thing about this build. It's great, except for your Overlords have to be out on the map, which makes them susceptible to the Blink Stalkers. They can pick one off and run away. xiExO looks like he's going to go ahead and jump up into the natural of Spanshwa here, and he is picking off a lot of drones here, and there's a lot of Hydras. He might be able to clean this up, but they're kind of awkwardly running around. He knew he was going to blink away, so I kind of sent some Hydras down around the edge, but that did not work out, and those Hydras did get picked off. He has some Hydras on the high ground, Hydras on the low ground. Best to try and keep them right here on this area right here. I'm not sure where... Oh, there we go. We have a Overseer just booking it right through the Protoss player's base. Gets a corruption down in the Robo Bay, but unfortunately for Spanshwa, right after the Colossus comes out. So there are 2 Colossus on the field. And it looks like xiExO is going to go for a 3 Colossus push here, which is a really solid push, especially when your opponent has been stacking all of his resources into Hydralisks. And xiExO really far ahead here, actually. He's at 142 supply to 103 of Spanshwa's, and looks like he has blinked up into the main of Spanshwa and is going to focus down that layer, preventing any type of further tech from coming out. Now xiExO doesn't know that there is a Spire down. He hasn't seen any Spire units. Oh wow, he actually calculated it to finish on that last shot and started to back up, but a transfuse actually caused him to have to come back, which actually cost him 3 stalkers. That was a really good transfuse. The building was going to die anyway, and he managed to get 3 stalkers out of it, which is the price of the layer, pretty much. Unfortunately, he's not morphing a new layer yet. Oh, he doesn't have enough gas. He doesn't have enough gas income to support this Hydralisk army now that he's down to 1 base's worth of production. And his expansion is getting there. It's mostly done. His 3rd, that is. In the meantime, xiExO is having a really fearsome looking army. His +2 is about to finish. He has 3 Colossus, and he's versus a whole bunch of Hydralisks. Things are not looking good for Spanshwa here. It is 24 Hydras and 5 Corruptors versus 3 Colossus and 29 Stalkers. So he actually has more Stalkers than Hydras, plus 3 Colossus. I don't think there's any way that Spanshwa is going to be able to hold this one, but we shall see. Corruptors being focused down immediately by xiExO. He does lose a Colossus, but the 3 Colossus are just too much for those Hydralisks. They just melt away instantly. So here we had a Grandmaster's game between xiExO and VileSpanshwa. And in this game, the Zerg player went for the really high aggression, which is really good when you see the Protoss expanding on this map, Tal'Darim Altar, because you know he's going to wall with a bunch of buildings that are really key to his production, actually, and Hydralisk will be able to kill any units that come out of those buildings to begin with. So making that Overlord highway and being really aggressive is a really good strategy. Unfortunately, versus Blink Stalkers, that's the best composition that you could possibly have in Gateway versus Hydralisk. You want Blink Stalkers above anything else because you can micro them back and keep them alive as long as possible, and they can pick off the Overlords that are providing the creep highway to get to your base. So thank you, xiExO, for sending this replay over. Great game. Appreciate it. And go ahead and favorite me down below there on the YouTube, or in addition to, actually, like this if you liked xiExO's play here. I'm trying to start a little competition between the University of Houston players to send me their replays to see who gets the most likes on their videos, and then I'm going to give them some type of a prize. And it may seem rigged because I've cast 3 xiExO replays today, but that's what the other players get, because they've only sent me like 2 or 3 replays each, and he sent me 5. So he's pretty far ahead. Though Slide did send me 5, so you'll see more of him coming up and more of TriMaster coming up in the next few days. Thanks for tuning in. Slow Kazi. I'll see you guys next time.